About 2 months ago, I made my first no-filter setup, this tiny 2-liter bowl. I was hoping that I could make it work, but I didn't anticipate how well this would work out. Let's do a quick checkup on the bowl. Healthy plants with a nice coloration, no algae, no surface scum, no problems. Of course, every setup behaves different, but I think that there are 5 essential things which made this bowl very unproblematic. Let's start at the bottom. I used a mix of 3 different substrates in the setup. A mix of aqualite and soil as the first layer, and above that a layer of aquarium sand. The key was that the aqualite and soil have both been in a different tank, so by putting it in the bowl I had all the necessary bacteria and microfauna right from the start. And because the soil was pre-cycled, it wasn't that rich in nutrients anymore, which completely avoided the typical ammonia spikes. The next important factor are the plants. You can actually split this into 2 aspects: plant selection and plant source. I selected plants for the bowl that are known to be medium to fast growers while still having low enough demands for a low-tech setup like this one. My experience with the easier stem plants is that they grow quite fast in perfect conditions, but if they have limited access to light and nutrients, they can actually grow really slow while still being beautiful and healthy. And the same happens here. I only had to trim 4 stems in the first 8 weeks of the bowl. It almost feels like I have frozen time in this little setup. But what I consider even more important is the source of the plants. All the plants in this bowl were already adapted to the life underwater, which is called the submerged form. The problem when buying new plants is that almost all of them are grown immersed, and they need a few weeks to adapt after being added to the tank. This would have been a problem here for 2 reasons. First, it would have taken a few weeks until the plants really start to take up nutrients, and in setups like this one, plant growth is key to keep everything stable. Second, while adapting, parts of the plants often melt. This causes nutrient spikes and can destabilize the tank, especially a small setup like this one. But to be able to grow, plants need nutrients, and this is the 4th aspect, fertilization. When planning this setup, I tried to figure out a way of keeping low but stable nutrient levels in the bowl. I decided to fertilize over the weekly water change by using water from my 60p Dutch style tank. This tank gets quite a lot of fertilizer, so at the end of the week there is still some of it left in the water. Like that, there are never too many nutrients in the bowl, but just enough for the slow plant growth. Remember, without CO2 injection and strong lighting, plants can take up way less nutrients, so too much fertilization would actually cause algae here. The last point is the lighting. I use a cheap LED from Amazon for this setup, and it's only on for 7 hours a day. It's enough for the plants, but algae doesn't stand a chance like that. So summed up, I would explain the success of this bowl with 2 things. First, I completely skipped the cycling process by adding cycled substrate and a lot of submerged stem plants. Like that, I avoided every symptom of cycling like nutrient spikes and algae outbreaks. Second, I tried to keep everything very lean with the setup. Low levels of nutrients and not too much light. With those 2 aspects in mind, a similar result can probably be achieved by anyone, considering that this is my first tank of this kind. So if you want to have a fun little side project that is not too much work, I can only recommend this way of starting a low-tech setup. I'll see you in the next one.